Alright, so I'm just going to do a quick video on some updates I made to the pit. Nothing too crazy. The biggest one being I changed the seat and the stick. The stick used to be mounted to the seat. I've now mounted it to the floor. As you can see, there's a bit of a complicated looking floor plate in there. I wanted it to be perfectly flat, but I needed to make those channels in there so the mechanism of the sliding seat would clear. Otherwise the motors hanging down the bottom of that seat rail foul with the floor. That cable right there is for the butt kicker. Temporary again. I didn't route it through this right now because I plan on changing the butt kicker setup. The amplifier for the butt kicker is just there. I originally had it there because it needed to be close to the sound system because it was running off the sound system, but now it runs off its own separate sound card there. I'm actually going to relocate that amp to the gap down behind there. I'll just mount it down in there out of the way, and then I'll route the remote control. I was thinking I might actually stick it up under here out of view so you can just reach under there and tap the buttons. So once all that's moved, that cable won't be there. The cable will route from the butt kicker in the seat through that and just up under there to the amp. But while it's all the way over there, it's not long enough to make the distance, so temporarily it's like that. Other changes I made to the pit while I had it in pieces. Obviously because of that floor plate now, the two largest parts being the main instrument panel unit and the seat panel are now bolted together. I used to have a problem because it's on carpet and it's a flat base on the seat. It used to slide on the carpet a little bit, so it'd be a bit squiff sometimes. It's now bolted together as one solid bit, so everything's always lining up. I also fixed up the rudders. So the rudders are Simped F16s, the older one. I used to have them just velcroed with the velcro pads underneath to the seat base, to the base of the MIP, and then if you wanted to adjust them you'd have to unvelcro them, slide them back and forward. There also wasn't much room for adjustment in it because it was fouling on this part in here. So what I've done now is I've put them on their own little drawer using these chest of drawer rails, so the whole pedal unit now can slide back and forward. If you just reach in there and pull it, you'll see that it'll slide and forward. So there's a pin in there, there's a bunch of holes drilled and a pin so you can lock it in place. I've found that you don't even need to lock it in place. There's enough friction on those drawer sliders that you can leave it, you can just move it with your feet to the best position for you and leave it there, and then even when I'm going crazy on the rudder pedals, they don't actually move. Unintentionally, of course. To mount them on that drawer, I needed to actually physically drill holes in them because the old Simpeds had no mounting spots for them. Took a lot of courage to put that on a bench vise into a bench vise and a bench press drill and drill a hole in them, but I did it and I don't think I ruined it too much. Obviously my resale's gone on it, but whatevs. What else have I done? So I went through and fixed up my yaw trim. My yaw trim pot was reversed for a while. That was just an error in my wiring. I fixed that. I've also managed to connect both those pots and that pot, which were not connected to anything because I don't really use them in the sim, but I connected them to a couple of spare analog inputs I had, so I can use those access now for other things in other games if I need it, or other aircraft. They are programmed to do those things, but I'm never changing the weapon status lights and stuff like that because the A10C doesn't have them. I also connected the audio and the brightness pot for the countermeasure set controller. In the process I've actually just realised that these backlights aren't working anymore because I must have broken one of the LEDs. I'll fix that up later on. That I didn't have that working and I desperately needed it because the alarms and the electronic warfare system was very loud sometimes, so I needed to dim it. The brightness pot works on the cockpit game set controller, but not on this one because this one's run on OLEDs and you can't dim an OLED. But it's a spare axis nonetheless. I also This is temporary. That's going to be my custom panel. I had 3 spare inputs and 3 spare toggle switches and 3 holes that I'd already just roughly drilled in there while I was prototyping. So they're just spare inputs now. I think I'm using them for the Hornet and Tomcat for hooks and that sort of stuff. Unlabeled for now, it's all temporary. I'm going to do a custom panel in there later on that's probably backlit. So the seat itself with the electric rails, I was intending on, that's where the stick used to be bolted. I filled in all those holes and repainted it. I just ended up mounting a bit of aluminium profile here, and this is that's the bit that was on the actual seat. It controls the seat. It's supposed to be in the car seat, you know, so tilt. I just mounted it there. I was going to mount some different toggle switches there, but I just ended up sticking this there. Does the job, and you can see how far it can slide. I'm going to crush my hand in here. It won't actually crush my hand, it actually stops before it hits it. Oh, there, it's still jammed. There you go. So yeah, to get in and get out now, it's a lot easier, because I used to have to put the seat back and then climb over this stick, which was really awkward because it would always be in between your legs. But now obviously you can slide it the whole way back and you've got heaps of room to get in and out easily. And then you just slide the slide out and you can jump in easily. So that's the quick update. Not too much going on. Because I'm filming a video, I might as well just quickly do a bit of a flying demo or something, or do some crazy stuff, shoot some stuff. And there'll be more to come. Going on holidays for the next couple of months, so you won't get much out of me, but I am still filming video for the costing of this. That'll be a video that will come out soon, and a bit of combat employment too, why not? Other things I still have to do. Next project will be likely the KY panel, which is not actually connected to anything at the moment. Oh, this thing here is my lapel mic that I've been using for voice attack. Just put that on my shirt rather than having a headset on. So that's not connected to anything. I'm going to just chuck an Arduino Nano in that and get it all mounted up and working. And then there's going to be an Arduino in here that will be controlling relays for the backlighting of the whole cockpit. So I'm basically aiming for, if you lose battery power, everything will dim and go off. So you'll end up with a cold dead pit like you would in the real aircraft, but when you fire it up and you flick the battery switch, it'll open that relay, so you'll get power to the backlighting and that sort of stuff. I think it'll increase immersion a lot, actually, sitting in a cold dark pit when it's really cold and dark. And when there's emergencies, when you lose both engines, the whole pit will go dark and all the instruments will turn off, because it'll trip that relay and turn off the power to it. Should be cool. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. Now some flying.
Warning, autopilot. Nice job taking out those trucks. The next target is Insurgent Patrol, 2 trucks and infantry, at waypoint 3, labeled Patrol. The target is marked with red smoke. Take it out.
Speed brake, speed brake.